I am so excited to be releasing this video series. We're gonna be walking you through flipping a house from front to back. All of the details, nothing left out, down to what were the utility bills we paid during construction, writing the scope of work, getting multiple bids, who we went with, virtual staging, a listing, and then a recap at the end of this thing. In today's video though, I'm gonna show you the deal. I'm gonna show you how we found it, how we funded it, as well as how much work it took to get this thing to closing to give you proper expectations. This is kind of the antidote of any of like the check pictures that you see, given that I will literally answer any question you have about this deal. If I don't do it in the video, be sure to ask for it in the comments and I'll get you the answers. Let's check it out. If you're enjoying my content, please do me a favor and just hit the like button real quick. That helps us out with YouTube's algorithm and gets us in front of more folks just like you. So this particular deal came off of a direct mail campaign, but not in the typical way that we see deals come about. So I'm gonna link to some videos on kind of some how-tos throughout this series. My recommendation is to watch the video in its entirety and then go back and click on any of kind of the bubbles we throw up for more information. So the mailing list this came off of was a ReallyFlow AI data list. So I'm gonna drop a bubble above on how to pull that list. What it does in a nutshell is they've got like 800 data points on every person in the United States, and they have a predictive artificial intelligence machine algorithm learning. I don't even really know what that means if I'm being blunt, that basically predicts who is most likely to sell. This data in my market costs me $1,500 a month. So it's not cheap. I wanna say you can buy like per zip code and it's something like 75 bucks, but this is one of those lists that I mail every single month without fail. So you can go back later and watch the video on how that works and how to set it up. We did send them a Ballpoint marketing piece that is a company that I own. What we do that's different with those, the pieces are custom designed for the market. It's full color inside and out, ties back to my local community brand. We've got robots that actually hold like ballpoint big pens, handwriting cursive. So really stands out from the typical like postcard yellow letter stuff. So normally what happens is mail goes out, a seller gets the piece and calls us about their property, right? That's kind of like marketing 101. But that's not what happened in this particular case. So the mailing went out and the gentleman who got the piece of mail was actually a real estate broker, had no interest in selling the particular property that we mailed him on. However, he had a client that needed our help. So what ended up happening here was another investor went under contract on this property, I believe at a pretty substantially higher price than what we got it for, attempted to wholesale the property, couldn't find a buyer, they couldn't line up funding, and ultimately ended up pulling their contract. They told the seller that they couldn't get funding due to COVID. I actually know the guys who had the deal before us, so pretty comical if they end up seeing this video. Unfortunately, it happens, and I totally believe them that they're having a hard time getting funding during COVID. So, no bad blood, no issues there whatsoever. So this particular property was funded by one of our private lenders. Now, how we handle our private money, we offer our lenders 8 to 9% interest on a 2-year term, and that is interest only, and we do make payments on a monthly basis. There's no points or anything up front. With our lenders, we'll do a 75% loan to value. So that is gonna cover our purchase, our rehab, and typically our holding costs as well. Our private lenders are like private. I've had people be like, well, who funds your deals? Sorry, bro, I'm not gonna give you their name, right? But these are folks just like you and just like I. I don't think that's correct grammar. Folks just like you and me. So these are a lot of the times investors, they could be other real estate professionals that have cash sitting that are looking to make a 8 to 9% return on. So that's how we structure funding all of our deals, including our buy and hold, our fix and flip, as well as our wholesale deals, which is when we close on a property, don't do anything to it, turn around and relist it. Now, if you've been around me for any length of time at all, my slogan is kind of keep the best, wholesale the rest. I kind of made the decision a few years back that I don't particularly care for flips. A lot of the times it's more work than I anticipate. I don't make as much money as I thought I was gonna make, and it ends up being a little bit of a headache. So I've said before, and I'm eating a little bit of crow here, that if I'm gonna do that much work on a property, I want it to be something that pays me for the rest of my life, not just once. However, as an investor, I'm constantly looking at ways to get the best return on our investment, our time, our effort into marketing dollars. And this one was honestly just kind of too good to pass up on. So it's a newer, nicer, I'm going to use the phrase vinyl village neighborhood and then explain what that means because I get asked that all the time. This is kind of a neighborhood where everything's very cookie cuttery, looks the same. The phrasing vinyl village comes from the fact that it's just a whole bunch of vinyl sided homes that almost look like they were copy and pasted by the developer. Maybe there was 2 or 3 floor plans, but that's kind of where that terminology comes from. They're typically 1,800 to 2,000 plus square feet, attached 2-car garage, 3 to 4 bedrooms, 2.5 plus baths, normally in like nicer, newer areas. This particular house was built back in 2000, and a lot of the times they're also in like good school districts, kind of like first-time home buyer or family, kids in school kind of neighborhoods is where these are located at. So this particular property we purchased for right at $126,000, which was really right at 75% minus repairs. Now, that being said, I don't want to get too much into the scope of work on this property because we're going to do a whole other video on how we write our own scopes to control the bids that we get back from our subcontractors. But we're going to spend roughly $20,000. And one thing we're doing with this property that's, well, something you should always be looking for as an investor is we're going to be adding value. The property has a loft, which we're actually going to enclose and turn into a 4th bedroom, which will pretty dramatically boost our sales price. It was kind of one of those no-brainers we saw on this property of a great way to kind of force some added value on the sales price of this home. A 4-bedroom home does go for more than the 3-bedroom homes in this same neighborhood. Kind of in wrapping up this video, I do just want to show you the back and forth that we had with the broker and the seller on this particular deal to get it to close. I'm not gonna show you the deep dive in our CRM. I'm just gonna scroll through it briefly so that way you can see all of the back and forth. I think a lot of investors assume that this part is going to be easy, that the direct to seller piece is just like, shooting fish in a barrel, and it's not. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of follow-up. It's a lot of back and forth. I'm super grateful for Noah and the other guys on my team that are the ones actively working these leads. I'm an investor in San Diego and we're doing deals in Indianapolis. So I guess you could also say this is kind of a video on how to flip a house in a market you're not in, but I do have boots on the ground. So let me show you this real quick. So this particular lead actually panned out pretty quick. It was a day and 1 month from the time that it initially was entered into our system to the day that we closed on the property. So the person initially called us on the 27th. We booked an appointment to go out and meet with them on the 29th. And we initially offered them $120,358. Back and forth, we ended up settling at $126,000, which was right at our max allowable offer for this particular home. We went under contract on the 4th, so probably about a week from when it initially came in, and then took about another month to get it to closing. Like I promised real briefly, This right here is all the back and forth that it took to get this particular deal done. So by no means was this like a, lay down tee up. Yes, it panned out pretty quick. The seller had been burned by somebody else and needed to sell the property, but it's still work. So to recap, we've walked you through what the deal is, how we found it, how we funded it, what our purchase price was, and what our budget is going to be roughly. Hopefully we stick to it because we're showing you guys all of the ins and outs on this one. Be sure to like and subscribe to get notified as the other videos in this series come up. And I do just want to be super blunt with you guys. I will personally reply to any questions you have here in the comments. So if you have a question, if I use a term you don't understand, or if I kind of breeze over something that you're not clear on, don't hesitate to ask. That's what I'm here for. Talk to you guys soon.